Hello, welcome back after our tea break.
Thank you, Rhiannon, for our lovely dinner.
It was beautiful.
We've had a bit of food, we're recharged. Welcome everybody to Podcast-athon number 3 in aid of Public Child Protection Wales, brought to you by Liberty Tactics. My name's Lou.
Hi, my name's Kat. For the new viewers, because we've got plenty now, I think.
Exactly. We've got Jason here in the studio doing the production this side, and then Rick's up in Bristol doing the stuff up there that needs to be done. I do believe have been, where did we get taken down? Facebook, I think, for a little while. Briefly, but we're back up again now. We haven't had as many technical difficulties as we've had in the past. I want to run down how it's been so far tonight, and then Kat's going to run through who we've got coming up later on tonight, tomorrow daytime, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. We will be here broadcasting for about 36 hours. You're going to be in for a real treat during the night when we start to lose it. But we're going to do our best to stay professional, because this is a very important subject that we are discussing. It's about the sexualisation of our children within schools from the age of 3. So far today, we kicked off the show with the lovely Lucia, who came and talked about public child. Yeah, she came in here and she talked about Public Child Protection Wales, followed by the lovely Richard Vobes, who I know has sent many followers over to us. Thank you, Richard. We also had Matt Letitia came on. He was absolutely brilliant. And following up from Matt Letitia is Paul Fitch, who's still buzzing that he actually followed Matt Letitia, but Paul, you're just definitely worth it. You really are, all the work you do. We've also had on Nigel Thorne, Sandy Adams, Sid Cordell, the lovely Alex Thompson, and we're just about to introduce you to the gorgeous Adele. But before we do, Kat, who have we got coming up throughout the night and tomorrow?
Right, guys, so after Adele, we've got George Sandy, who's going to be talking about the pornography industry. 10 o'clock, we've got a pre-recording from DJ Slipmat and a set. Is there a music set
got a little music set for us. If anyone wants a copy of that set, if you can donate £10 or whatever you can to Public Child Protection Wales, and send us an email at info@libertytactics.co.uk for a donation, we will send you a copy of the mix that Slipmat put together for us.
Brilliant. Then at 11, we've got the lovely Dave Sumrall from America. So you've got the Americans through the night, guys, because obviously it's a normal, reasonable hour for them.
Dave Sumrall, I'll just go over. He's stopped pay. He's been pivotal in January the 6th, and he actually appeared on one of Tucker Carlson's last shows to talk about January the 6th, so that'll be good.
And that's going to take us up to midnight, so we won't go over those until...
Well, we got Ronnie, we can talk about Canada. We've got a teacher coming over, next teacher from Canada.
Yeah, she's coming on
Ronnie
at midnight.
Herman.
We've done a show with her before, honestly.
She's incredible in Canada.
And she's really fighting hard, so we'll have Ronnie at midnight, and then it's going to be myself and Lou going through some of the books and some of the things.
And also Nick Tanconi. I think we might play some of the Nick Tanconi today at that time, actually.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So what was going on in London today? Nick Tanconi was down there in Lewisham.
Yes.
And that was about the
we're going to play that at 5 when we're on. Because it's quite a while that one.
Yeah. Well, we'll sort something. Yeah, we've got either me and Pat or a video from London earlier on today.
Yeah, from Lewisham. And then we got at 2, we've got Christine Minor and the Kinsey movies and whatever.
The lovely Christine Minor.
And we can talk about tomorrow morning then a bit later on in the night. But first of all, hello Adele. Thank you for coming on. Lovely, and you were on time as well.
I know. Who would have thought it?
I know.
Not only on time, I was early.
I was in
that waiting room. Yes, no. Kat, you know what I'm like. I am ADHD mental. Lou, you have invited me on before to Liberty.
And you're a no-show.
I was a no-show. I have had this set in my alarm, set ready to go. So I did all the dog walking this morning, all the child rearing this afternoon, and now I am on child protection this evening.
Thank you so much for doing that for us. Adele, just briefly, I mean, you've been a huge part within Public Child Protection Wales. You were one of the parents, and tell us about you, because you're actually working within the school system, aren't you?
I am. So, to brief how I came involved in this, Catherine is a massive part of this, even though she doesn't know. Well, she does know that she was a massive part of it. Her and Kim were two devices in me working before they even knew each other or got together. So for me, Catherine shared some documents. My goodness, this must have been 2019. She shared some resources, some classroom resources from the Warwickshire Council, the All About Me programme. Now, back then, when you access this, you could download it, you could view the whole thing. None of this is to be found anymore on the internet just soon, unless you can go on.
Wayback Machine.
There is a website that way back when.
Wayback Machine. Yeah.
Wayback Machine.
Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it is possibly possible to view this. So Catherine, like that herself, I'm going to assume, came across something, shared it. I looked at it and was horrified. This classroom resource was about childhood masturbation for 6-year-olds. So then I went into this whole Warwickshire Council and everything. I was just so confused, because everything was saying, if you consent, if you say it's okay, if you consent, but yet all these things were definitely in reference to being touched, to being touched inappropriately, and it was all about if you consent. So I was reading through these year planners and I was horrified. A little while later, Catherine posted about a documentary about Alfred Kinsey. I watched it and I forgot it, because in that moment of time, the Alfred Kinsey documentary wasn't linked to these resources that I was reading for the child sex ed. And that was that. I shared it in WhatsApp, because it wasn't even something I shared on Facebook, because it wasn't really something I had people that I could share this with. So I shared it with a few people on WhatsApp. That was the end of it. Forgot all about it. As would most say, you discover something, you forget about it, and that's what I did. Until lockdown happened and I started organising a protest against child abuse, against child exploitation. And I was just searching all different things on Facebook. And I came across a video of Kim. And Kim was talking about sex education, about it being mandatory. And I thought to myself, I know what she's talking about. She's talking about this. This is the same lesson resources that Kat shared about a year ago. And so I reached out to Kim and I said to her that I was doing a protest against child sexual abuse. Would she come and talk what she'd learned about the education? Would she come and talk about it? So she did. And I have to say, I wasn't really informed until I was stood in front of Kim and my mind was blown. Oh my gosh, this is what I thought it was. And then fast forward, I don't want to say I joined Kim. We all joined together. Like, we all just joined together. There was, like, Kim had her battle. I was fighting my battle. A few of us were fighting our own truths, our own reasons for challenging sexual abuse in children. And, but no, I say we all joined forces. We all joined teams, and like, it started from there. Then just COVID happened, lockdown happened, and it was just like, how can we get this message out there with all these lockdowns happening, with all these, and we just went about doing what we could to educate the Welsh public on what was coming into schools, which was comprehensive sex education. It's coming from age 3 and it's going to be mandatory.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, who's decided about let's battle this, let's take this to the court? How did that all come about?
Kim, 100% Kim. Kim is the driving force, the battle, everything behind this. But as much as I will put Kim on this pedestal, and I know she'll 100% agree with me, Kim needed those who were willing to stand beside her and go, no, I don't agree with this either. So Kim put herself forward. She put herself into the midst. She educated who she could. And I think those of us who understood it then decided to join with her. And it was just a no-go. How could we not? We were saying it and I think they were, if I'm totally truthful with you, at the beginning, none of us were ever truly believing we could take this to the court. We threatened it, we hoped it, and we promised it. Did we think it was happening? I don't know if we did, but we looked and we looked and we looked. Obviously, England, lots of stuff was happening. You had what was the group in England, Kim? What was the group in it?
Safe Schools Alliance?
No, not Safe Schools. No Kids. No, not No Kids Allowed.
Oh, I know what you're on about. Oh,
it's gone out of my head. It'll come out. It'll come back.
Yeah, I know what you're about, love. No one else does.
They had taken it. There was a group in England. They had taken it to court. I followed it. We researched who the barrister was for this. It's annoying me that I can't think of the name. So apologies to anybody watching who was a part of this.
It'll come to us. Kim's Kat's looking it up now.
So thank you, Kat. And we found their barrister. Their barrister was Paul Diamond. We emailed. We reached out. We took a chance. We thought we were being told by the Welsh government, by everybody else, we're being told that you're not going to get it, because the only way you can get a barrister is to go through a solicitor. We were being told all these things. And do you know what? We just reached out. The No Kids Coalition.
I've just messaged now to ask her what it's called. I know exactly what you mean, and bug me as well. But anyway, love, carry on.
So we reached out to Paul Diamond, who was their barrister. We reached out. I don't think any of us expected a reply. And we got one. Yeah. And he was all aboard, and it was brilliant. And it was the start of something amazing, of this, the reason why we are here raising money. Yeah, sorry, my voice has gone all croaky. I don't know what to do about it.
I mean, that day, we said earlier that day in Cardiff back in November for the judicial review, something happened there, because we had people of all different faiths, all different backgrounds, from every walk of life had come there. And granted, there should have been hundreds of thousands of people there, but there was a group of few hundred people there. No sign of the BBC there. They'd gone over, the parents had gone over just to ask the BBC why they weren't reporting. They locked the building down and called mounted police on a load of parents with buggies. And then it came to final closing statements. And I'm getting goose pimples now just thinking of that moment when Adele and Paul walked out of that courtroom, because people were listening, weren't they? You could listen to the court. You could trying to listen. And Paul Diamond came out of that court, and it was like he had just won an Olympic gold medal. People were lining up to shake his hand, kiss him, cuddling, and people were even having selfies. So there was a moment, it was insanity. There's this barrister coming in, and there's people there having selfies with him and applauding him. And he said he'd never had anything, but there was a kind of magic or something. I don't know. Everybody else felt, and so many people I spoke to felt it as well. When on that day, outside court, even though it turns out the judge turned it down, woke judge, it's fine, it's going to go further, we're not going to stop, but you guys aren't going to stop, and we're not going to stop supporting you. But what were your thoughts on that day of court? Because obviously you're one of the
you were in there as well,
and you were one of the claimants, wasn't you?
I am glad you brought this up. Because this touches on a few different things. Firstly, I want to say what you brought up first. I just want to put this statement out there. I am not religious in a manner of I don't subscribe to a particular religion. In fact, I want to go as far as saying I actually find, even though, so I came out of court that day, and I came out of court to Muslims, Christians, by some admissions, atheists, by some admissions, agnostics, and various others, all stood together for one reason. And I've been listening to a few shows today. And I'm finding the religious aspect of this very, very hard, because I don't have these supposed religious values I'm supposed to subscribe to. So I've supposedly got philosophical views, which I find difficult when my philosophical views are very much in line with some Christian views, some Muslim views, some Buddhist views, some atheist views, some agnostic views. But at the same time, in terms of religion, nobody has to prove their views in court, because it's already documented. It's documented in the Quran. They're documented in the Bible. But my philosophical views, I got to prove them. And I got to prove they're philosophical, even though the definition of their philosophical is very wide, is very broad, is very brand. And yet my philosophical views are very much in line with all these religious views.
Yeah. So we're all on the same.
It's about right and wrong.
Yeah. It's a moral thing,
and it's embedded with everybody. Yeah. Really, these people know what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
It must be something embedded within us.
A particular view. And apologies if this goes against any of the religious people on this platform. I am not anti-LGB. I'm going to leave out all the rest of the letters on that. I'm just going to leave the LGB. I have no problem with children. And this is a very important part. We have got to separate relationships and sexuality, because there is a big... You don't need to teach children sexuality in order to teach them relationships.
No, you don't. No. That's right.
So I brought my daughter up as a single parent. I am not going to hand raise and whoa myself that I have done the best job, because I truly, honestly believe that my daughter needed a mother and a father.
Yeah.
But I chose to have my daughter as a single parent. However, if we're going to go into this realm of teaching children relationships, look at every relationship of that child in that classroom. Some children may or may not have a gay parent. Some children may or may not have a single parent. Some children may or may not be in care, etc., etc., etc. But the fact is, I am a single parent. I'm a heterosexual single parent. But I could be a homosexual single parent. I could be lesbian and a single parent. Fact is, when teaching about me being a single parent, you don't teach about my sexuality with that being a single parent. So teaching that some parents have one parent, two parents, two mums, two dads, a mum and a dad, etc., 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 doesn't mean you necessarily need to teach about sexuality.
It doesn't.
You're teaching about relationships.
Yeah.
Some children are in a foster parent family, which is a single parent. It's just a mum or just a dad. The spectrum is so broad when it comes to families that actually family relationships have absolutely zero to do with sexuality. They're just to do with family structure.
Yeah.
It's just a way of bringing it in, Del.
Exactly. We do not need to teach sexuality to teach relationships.
Exactly. We don't need to do it. It's just a thing of they're like, no, but you know, they kind of go together in a way. So we're going to teach, we're going to just use it under the umbrella of relationships, because a lot of the sexuality stuff that they do is under the bracket of the relationship. So people are misunderstanding.
I can 100% tell every single viewer here now, just so you know, this is RSE or PHSE, whatever you have been told it is. England, Scotland, yes, you can opt out. So, Catherine, I heard you talk about earlier on about the teacher. That was then he was given the class a lesson on why they had to learn LGBT, and he turned it on himself. Yeah. Right. So as he said to his pupils, your parents can opt out of the sex element, but they can't opt out of the relationships element. Parents, this is so vital, you know this. LGBT does not fall under sexuality. It does not fall under sex education. It comes under relationships. Transgender comes under relationships. You cannot opt your children out of this. You can opt your children out of sex. Learning anal sex is a different way to not get pregnant. That is what you can opt your children out of.
What age are they teaching that to? What age were they teaching that to?
Relationships is from age 3. Yeah. Not just Wales, England, Scotland. The relationships element of RSE, you cannot opt your child out of. LGBT falls under relationships. It does not fall under the sex education.
With the sex education, Del, What age group is that being taught that anal sex is a way not to get pregnant? What age is it that they're being told that?
As far as I'm aware, that's from secondary school.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know
As
that book
far
I
as I am
got,
aware, that is from secondary school. As far as I am aware, and I've seen nothing so far, is that up until primary. So, okay, puberty comes into primary, year 5, year 6. But with that comes wet dreams.
Yeah.
With that comes masturbation. So it's all different elements that
They put it under different banners.
you've got to be careful. So I'm literally talking actual
We have to be careful what we
acts of intercourse. Actual acts of intercourse, as far as I'm aware, is in secondary school. However, we know from England masturbation has come in from age 4. We know they've taken it out. We know that this education says it can all go back in at any time.
Yeah, which they will do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what we can say is, even within puberty talk comes wet dreams.
Mm.
With wet dreams comes masturbation.
Yeah, exactly.
So all these little things, they're guys, they're moved into all these other
little sounding pockets, when in reality they're sneaking a lot of stuff through there.
Yeah.
Bad stuff. Yeah.
This is my perfect opportunity, as I will forget. Can I just read something out to you guys?
Yes. Of course you can, love.
So I don't know how well. Oh. It was.
There was just while Adele's looking for that, there was questionnaires being given out to, I think, was it 12-year-olds? Yeah. I think it was 12-year-olds, to ask them, it was a survey to see
all sorts of questions.
Questions like, what age, did you lose your virginity, being sent out to around 12 and 13-year-olds.
And we would like to say, this is to get a general good, but no, that we know that this is to gather data to say, yes, all kids are sexual.
It's the Kinsey Institute again.
Catherine, I so want to get into Kinsey Institute with you.
We're going to be doing a lot of that later on.
Girl is killing me. I'm only on here for 45 minutes,
I know.
But I do want to address something.
2-hour slot, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
You would have done it as well. I didn't even think to do that.
I do want to address something. So there is a 14-year-old girl right now. I don't know if you're aware of this yet. There is a 14-year-old girl from Ireland, and we'll get on to Ireland. I've got family in Ireland, and when we first researched this, which switches to finding out this was comprehensive sexuality education, to finding out the World Health Organization. So then, obviously I was digging deeper. What countries are using the World Health Organization's 2010 standards? Which countries are using UNESCO? We know in Britain right now, we're kind of using UNESCO. However, the Republic of Ireland, they're on the WHO. Yeah. They're on the 2010 WHO standards.
Oh, yeah.
We got Andy
we know that
tomorrow.
Right now, Ireland is kicking off.
Yeah, we got Andy
it's a Catholic country. So anyway, girl, sorry.
That's all right, go on.
So this is a 14-year-old girl. Literally, she's just blown up. I'd love us to get in touch with her. She wrote a poem, and because of this poem, she is lit up on social media right now. I think GB News have had her on.
Oh, okay.
This is her poem. Do you mind if I read this?
Please do. No, please do.
And can I just say, I just want to give her Twitter, which is at Brandub4. So I'm going to say BRANDUBH4. So at BRANDUBH4. This is the 14-year-old girl. Oh, the backlash she is having from this. And this is her poem. I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
It's called I Am Not a Dress. We are women. We are warriors of steel. Woman is something no man can ever feel. Woman is not a skill that any man can hone. Woman is a word, and it is ours alone. I am not a dress to be worn on a whim. A man in a dress, nonetheless, is him. Women are not simply what we wear. If this offends you, I do not care. I am not an idea in any man's mind, and my purpose in life is not to be kind. I love that line. I love, love, love that line. So while my rights are trampled every day of the week, sorry, this is going to be easier, I will not stand by being docile and meek. I am not defined by sexist lies. There is more to women than this shallow guise. The guise of dresses, bikinis, and skirts, those clones are not what womanhood is worth. I am not a bitch, a turf, a whore, a slag, hysterical, a witch, a slut, a hag. No, I am a woman. I am a female who will not let her rights be put up for sale. I am not defined by what men are not. So to hell with cis misogynistic rot. Sorry. I'm not defined by what men are not. So hell to cis misogynot. I can't say that word.
Misogyny.
Misogynistic.
Yeah.
Misogynistic.
That's it.
I am a woman, not a subset of my sex. If this makes me a dinosaur, so be it. I'm a T-Rex.
Yay.
I'm not a bleeder, nor a menstruator, a womb carrier, or uterus haver. These words are phrases, are such a sham. Just call me a woman. It is who I am. We are women. We are warriors of steel. Woman is something no man will ever feel. Woman is a skill no man can ever hone. Woman is our word, and it is ours alone.
Wow.
Oh,
So this is by a
I can imagine the
14-year-old
she's out for
girl
it, though.
in Ireland, and this poem it's gone viral. She's gone viral, and well, bloody done for her for doing so.
Yeah. Well, is she getting a lot of negative stuff because of obviously, you know,
Oh,
the woke?
I 100% assume she is getting some backlash from that. 100%.
Oh, wow. She got to be having equally as much support, surely, or are they just fiddling around with the social media and making it look like?
I haven't looked. Obviously, this has come up on my Twitter because of my Twitter feed, because of and I follow gender critical people. Now that's not to say that all gender critical people I will follow, because you know, I do, like most people, want people to be able to happily live in their truths. But the problem is when their truths infringe and impact
on everyone else.
On everybody else.
And especially the kids, obviously, which is, you know, the whole point of why we're here, isn't it? You know, it's you know how bad it is, Del. You know how bad it is more than most, you know what I mean? And we're at a stage now where we have to go back, because it's affecting young girls more. Not that it, you know, it's just massive surge in young teenage girls. Obviously, we've spoken about this a couple of times today already, but it is like a really high percentage of young teenage girls who are transitioning into males, and it's like an epidemic, isn't it?
It's a social contagion.
Yeah,
it's a social contagion. So I work in school. This is heavily being pushed in school. So I in the school I'm in, I've got trans children, and we can see a difference in trans children as well. We've got, I'm going to go from my own observations, which is whom had they not said they were a trans female, I probably would have described them as a very camp gay male.
Yeah.
And then we have other trans students, which, for the sake of my reputation and whatnot, I'm going to refrain from responding on how I think they will end up. But there is you can see a difference between those who are transitioning. There are various different children for various different reasons transitioning. But it's a problem in school. Your well-being areas of school are rainbow-tastic.
Yeah. I can imagine.
This is very much being pushed on a diverse scale, which again brings me on to something I wanted to talk about from a personal point of view. Diversity. Can't, as you know, lose you. I'm ADHD. I'm neurotypical, as they say. I find it difficult seeing things that are not right, not wrong. I got to see patterns. I look for things. Things got to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, I can't really switch my head around it. And this goes for a lot of young people as well with these disorders. I'm not going to say disorders because we haven't got a disorder. Our brain is just, it's just different. Our cognitive functions, our just I'm trying to think, dopamine levels, all these things, they're just different. So our brains just compute things different. And I find it very frustrating when I'm hearing this is about diversity. This is diversity. If this is about diversity, why is it that one subset of diverse children, i.e. autistic children, and then ADHD, why are these the most prominent children to be going through these
transitions,
gender dysphoric, problems? So I'm sat in school one day. So I'm special educational needs. I work with a variety of different children with different educational needs, one of them being sign language. I will work with deaf children. And I'm working in a school who's holding an assembly on diversity and inclusivity. The whole assembly is around, it's labelled and projected as inclusive and diverse. This is what the assembly is about. So this is the year 9. So I think the year 8 pupils at the time. Again, I am with hearing impaired units. So I'm supposed to sign this assembly. So this diverse and inclusive assembly straight away is an LGBT assembly. And it is LGBTQIAA plus. So LGBTQIAA plus additional. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, and another A. I can't remember what the other A is. So anyway, this assembly is all about this. Now, one of the children I support not only is deaf, also does not speak English. He comes from I'm not going to say which country, I need to give too much away, but he's from Africa, a country in Africa, doesn't speak English, can't even hear English. He's deaf, doesn't speak English. So as they're going through the letters of the alphabet, I'm supposed to be signing to the children I'm with. I don't even know how to sign to the children I'm with. The mumbo jumble they're expelling to me. But with that, with the gay, it's a picture of two men kissing. Well, the boy next to me who is deaf, doesn't speak English, he's from Africa, hasn't got a clue why he is seeing two men kissing on the screen, and his vocal response tells me that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out a way to explain to this boy like what he's being shown on the TV. So next comes up a video. This video starts playing. I put my hands up in the assembly. I stop the video, and I say, "Is this inclusive video? Got subtitles for the deaf children?"
In there, for the irony.
No, it does not. No, this video does not have subtitles for the deaf children.
So inclusive.
And it's making me go, how inclusive, how diverse is all of this?
Exactly.
Because it's leaving out the disabled children.
Yeah, exactly. Ironically, they used, the disabled children to push this thing.
And now they're doing the drag, aren't they?
Well, no, what they do is they put a rainbow flag on top of the child in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
It's like cult-like behaviour, isn't it?
Totally.
Well, you came up to
and the same with the drag queens.
Yeah.
I am sick. I'm sick of hearing it. The drag queen and the pantomime dame
I know.
being put into the same bracket.
I know.
Put a pantomime dame in my child's theatre in library. You want to teach my child about the theatre? Teach my child about the theatre. If you want to teach my child about pantomimes, yes. Historically, how about a pantomime dame
that looks like a clown and isn't sexualized? Do you know what I mean?
Looks like a clown. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is not the same. Have my child search up pantomime dame. Have my child search up drag queen. It's not even possible to compare.
No, it's not, love, but that's been
things.
thrown around a lot lately, isn't it? The old pantomime dame and the drag queen is absolutely nothing like each other. And deep down, I think everybody knows that. Do you know what I mean? When you think about it, like, we all know what a pantomime dame looks like, and we all know what a drag queen looks like. And, there are plenty of videos of drag queens themselves.
Let's start comparing Disney princesses and strippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just crazy, isn't it? And obviously you came up to Crystal Palace as well, didn't you?
Yes.
And that was an experience.
Like nothing I'd ever experienced before. Being called Nazi, being called a bigot.
You've won, though.
Being told to check our hard drive.
As soon as the Nazi card and the racist card come out, you've won.
Yeah. So I just want to touch on something that Alex was talking about earlier, in terms of Huxley, 1930s. So in the 1930s as well, you had the Frankfurt School of Critical Theory was set up. Now you've got Karl Marx, Sigmund Freud, Theodore Adorno. For me, as a psychology student, these are the big names that we learn. And they were all a part of, which was what was called an 11-point plan. Would you mind if I read this 11-point plan to you?
Go on, Dev, go on.
Number 1, the creation of racism offences. So I'm going to say it. You're going to put your hands up if you think it's happening. Yeah?
Okay.
It's like a little game show now. So put your hands up if you agree this is happening. But keep your hands down if you don't think it is. So number 1, the creation of racism offences.
Here we're here. And Jason's up behind.
Jason's
Number 2, continual change to create confusion.
Right there.
Yeah.
Number 3, the teaching of sex and homosexuality to children.
Yeah.
Rick's got
Keep
his arm
them
up
up.
there.
Yeah,
Rick
Rick's
has.
doing it as well.
He's got both
That
arms up.
undermines schools and teachers' authorities.
Just keep our hands
Yeah,
up.
we'll just hold them up till you finish.
Number 5, huge immigration and destroy national identity.
Whoa.
Number 6, the promotion of excessive drinking.
Mhm.
Whoa, yeah.
Number 7, empty churches. Number 8, unreliable legal systems that have a bias against the victim.
Wow, yes.
Number 9, dependency on state benefits.
Oh my gosh.
Number 10, control and the control and dumbing down of national media.
Oh god.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
That's why we,
Number 11, encouraging the breakdown of family. So the main idea is to exploit Freud's idea of pansexualization. We know pansexual. So this comes from Freud mind, Sigmund Freud, which is a search for pleasure, exploitation between sexes,
yeah. It's all there. It's all of it's there.
overthrowing traditional relationships, attack authority of the father, deny specific roles of the father, deny specific roles of the male and female, whilst wrestling away from families from their rights of the primary educator, abolishing differences in education between male and female, abolishing all forms of male dominance.
Wow, they really, well, it's you.
So to
on now.
approve women as oppressed and the men as the oppressors, and to make the West so corrupt it stinks.
Yeah, well, who did you say wrote that down?
Freud.
So
Freud.
this is from Frankfurt School of Critical Theory.
Critical theory, that was it. Yeah, well, they've pretty much achieved all that.
Look at
haven't they?
America, critical. You've got
Yeah.
critical race theory. All of this comes from this.
Yeah, definitely.
Queer theory. It's critical sex theory.
Yeah.
It's all critical. Oh, look at both sides.
Yeah, that's what it is coming from. Interesting though, isn't it? 1930s, and we're not even 100 years later, and they've actually
So
achieved
this is,
every
and this is
single one
just
of them.
before Alfred So this is leading up to Kinsey
Yeah.
Yes.
and his research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's criminal, it's dark, it's evil on every single level. It really is, and nobody's talking about it.
No.
No.
All
know,
getting silenced about
People
it,
are getting
yeah.
silenced. The mainstream media, some of the mainstream media that have come around, they're too scared to have Kimberly on to talk about this.
They
and the
can't
excuse that a
handle
lot of the
Kimberly
time
on.
comes
It's
back.
not what they want.
No,
The
exactly.
excuse comes back is, oh well, we know that there's a court case. We know there's
Yeah,
things
they
going
keep
on with the
using
court, and we
that.
don't want to.
We don't want to push this boat. We don't want to
That's
touch
it.
that.
Yeah.
We don't want to press this button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what is so annoying? They've got their own agendas.
Mm.
And I will put this out there right now. All these other organizations, they have an agenda themselves. They have an agenda of who they want to be and where they want to be positioned within this education. For example, Merche Cymru won't touch us with a barge pole.
No, they won't. Will they?
Why? Because they want to be RSE watchdogs. All these other organizations, they want to be watchdogs. They want to be champions. They want to be the people that put it in place.
Yeah.
And I wish they would just stop trying to control what is already being put in place, because we don't want that. That is CSE. It's comprehensive sex education.
Exactly.
You can't control it.
You can't.
watchdog
It
it.
needs to be gone altogether, love, doesn't it?
It's got to be gone, and we have got
Yeah.
to create our own. So I plead you, other organizations, stop trying to control or be a part of RSE. Scrap it.
Exactly.
Scrap it.
It needs scrapping.
Scrap it and be a part of something that is better forming, that safeguards, that is factual, that is biological.
Exactly, love.
You are trying to control a controlled education.
Exactly. It's not going to work.
No, it's not.
Not going to happen.
She's still there. We lost her.
Yeah, no, she's still there. But I think we're coming.
I'm
up to
still
the end,
here.
aren't we?
Oh, she's still there.
I think we're coming. We got George coming on now, love, in a couple of minutes.
Yes, I'm looking
Talk
forward
you.
to hearing about George because, as you know, as you've researched this as
Yeah.
well, Kat, I could stay here for hours.
We could do
Porn.
you, love. We should have just had you in.
Pornography is a massive problem. And guys, I want to say this is honestly, as a teacher in a school, I have sat there and witnessed the conversation between two 8-year-old boys, where one is telling the other to go and have a look on Pornhub. That was in a classroom. I witnessed it, I saw it, and I reported it. But the problem is with a teacher of an employment status as me, I don't know how far it goes. I don't get to see how far it goes.
Yeah.
All I get to know is that I reported it to the next level.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know how far that report went or where it went.
I know.
But children are watching porn.
Yeah.
I've had my daughter tell me only in recent weeks that her best friend, who she don't see her anymore, so she was 6, 7 at the time, is watching pornography at home.
It's
just.
I have only in recent weeks had to report this to my child's headmaster because that child is in my daughter's school.
It's so dangerous.
It's so dangerous, and we're going to really go into this with
So I'm
and a lot of people are
forward
going
to George's interview with you guys
about the porn industry,
but they just
you're going to have to listen and come to your own. It's going to hit. It's going to hit.
It'll hit nerves, but it's going to have to.
Nerves.
To be honest, it really is.
Yeah.
But
it's got to be talked about. I mean, this is why it's so important. I mean, I've been doing the shows, did my little FM show that got taken down, and then I was with the column for so many years, and it's all about, we've got to talk about these subjects, and it's always the children that people won't touch, Adele, and it's just, you're fighting, for me, for some, that's why it was great linking up with Kat, then meeting Kim. It's because there's nobody out there. If you feel like you're kind of fighting it on your own, but now what with Kimberly and Public Child Protection Wales, it's kind of starting as a movement, but we've just got to get people talking about it.
Can I just
because
say,
it's the only thing we're talking about.
In some ways, and I know Kim will agree with me on this, and I think Matt will as well, despite all these other organisations, GB News, and no disrespect, all these other organisations, trust me, as PCP and as Wales, very much feel like we're still fighting this on our own.
Yeah.
Because none of them seem to actually want to join on with us. They're happy to have us snippet them. But no organisations, no news coverage, none of them actually want any of us to do with PCP on their platforms. Willing to maybe do a 5-minute snippet on our platforms or on a platform that is favouring us, but they are not willing to have us. And I am asking, why won't any of these stations have Kimberly on their station, have us on their stations?
Yeah.
Because they won't. Have you seen us on GB News yet?
No, exactly.
You have not. No, you have not.
No, exactly.
And all these people are off GB News, and I'm sorry, I don't mean any disrespect
but
to anybody.
This is to do with the team for the legal stuff, isn't it?
I don't believe that for a second, Lou.
No,
it's nothing to do with it. Don't believe it for a second. It's nothing to do with anything legal at all. They've got nothing legal.
No, I know, but that's the excuse.
About.
This is what I'm saying. That's what they come back
it's
with.
An excuse.
Exactly. They use it.
Nobody.
If they cared about children, nothing would shut them up.
No,
there's no reason for
it. You can't tell me Posey Parker hasn't got political news following her.
Yeah.
None of these people, all these people have got, you can't tell me all these people, but they won't touch us. They will,
Yeah,
nobody will
no.
touch us in Wales.
No.
Why?
you're right, love. They won't.
They won't.
Well, we will.
And I'm not going to sit on my front and not say it.
No, exactly.
No,
All of you that are
exactly.
joining on this show and everybody who's joining in, why won't you publicly support the parents of Wales?
Can I just say though,
And I'm not
Richard
talking
Bobes-
PCP, I'm talking the parents of Wales
Yeah.
who PCP are supporting.
Yeah.
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 But I will
right
say, Richard Bobes was amazing. He had Kimberly on, you know, and we just got to keep pushing. We just got to keep pushing at it. I mean, we're not
Yeah.
going to stop. We're going to stand here and
100%,
fight for public
100%.
child protection.
We've got to unite.
Yeah.
We're all fighting the same. Whoever is telling you to not touch them, it's the same way that women want spaces to speak are getting targeted because they've got far right people attending them. You can't get tarred with the people who are attending your groups.
No, exactly.
I should hope that every person from every group, whether
Yeah.
far left or far right, should have one view in sight, which is protect children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is all about the kids. Right, love, we're going to have to leave it there because we got George coming through now. But
Yes.
it's been a pleasure talking
Thank
to
you
Thank
so
for
much. And
coming
maybe
on.
you can come
And
to
you,
the show
thank
when-
you.
after this.
Yeah, come on
back
And I know I
Liberty
spit my
Tactics
words
show.
out quick.
Don't stand us
Catherine
up.
know me well.
Yeah, don't stand us up.
Take